Hello, welcome to Western Door Paranormal Studies. My name is Tony Burtis, and today I'm in Hydesville, New York, and I'm at the epicenter of modern spiritualism, the remains of the cabin of the Fox sisters. On March 31st, 1848 is where it all began, when a spirit began to communicate with the Fox sisters through a series of raps. It began then. It led to seances, mediums, and ghost hunters just like me today. What I hope to accomplish here is to document the cabin. What remains today is not the entire cabin. It's actually the foundation only, surrounded by the structure you see behind me. Now, I don't know if the spirits are still here or not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to document the site and see if I can possibly pick up on some energies and maybe get something that might still be left behind. Our roots can all be traced here. It's hard to say if Western Door Paranormal or any other paranormal teams or such would be around if it all didn't start here. Of course, psychics have always been around and always will be, so it might have just simply started somewhere else with another psychic communicating with a spirit, but the craze actually started here, especially once the Fox sisters took their act on the road. Responsible for many spiritualist churches that sprang up around the country as a result of what happened here. Also, Lilydale is another direct descendant of what actually started here. Noting that Hydesville is pretty much runs along the path of the Erie Canal and is not that far from Palmyra, another very haunted location. Went to the cottage in Hydesville. I really wasn't sure if I was going to get anything or not. For me, it was more an attempt at just documenting Hydesville and the history of the remains of the cottage there. Seeing that there really wasn't any reports of paranormal activity aside from the legend of the Fox sisters. Let me tell you something. There was a lot of evidence I gathered from that little park in Hydesville. I got a lot of E.V.Ps and V.V.Ps. Yeah. Let's just say it did not disappoint. I'm just feeling compelled to document this quickly. That I don't know. I understand it's by the door. I don't know what breezes may or may not be blowing through this place, but those that cloth on that table is moving around pretty freely. However, I'm not saying it's paranormal at all, because it is right by the door and a breeze could be coming through the door causing it to move. I'm just documenting. This clip was one of the first I did. Now, you actually hear something walking on the gravel near the first camera that I put up. Now, this is significant because I was actually away from the camera, so I know the footsteps were not mine. Now this footage was shot in between takes as I had the camera lying on the grass. When I did this and I was making my adjustments, you hear an unaudible voice. Now I can't quite make out what it says, but there's no doubt about it. It's a VVP. Now this next VVP is simply what sounds like a female grunt. Now this is one of two that I would actually capture. Now it's also important to note that there was no one in this park but me the entire time. Now, this next clip is very interesting. It's not a voice, but it's a sound that I pick up. It sounds a lot like someone's actually opening a jar. Now this particular VVP is another female grunt. Now this VVP actually sounds like someone is saying, uh-oh. Now this next VVP is an example of an inaudible VVP. Of course, an inaudible VVP is worth saving, even though you can't really make out what the spirit is trying to communicate. E.V.P. stands for electronic voice phenomenon. It's when you catch a disembodied voice on a handheld recording device. Now, at Hydesville, I actually picked up several VVPs. Now, the EVPs are as follows. One was during my attempt to communicate, and a female voice, responded with yes. The next EVP actually could be the historic knocks that I picked up. Now I did play the knocking game, but I did it much later in the investigation. This actually took place at the very beginning of the investigation. And when I did my knocks, they were actually slow. These knocks are rapid. Then I get a thud that I can't explain. Next, a male voice seems to say, me, me. Then a male voice says, mine. And then another male voice, seemingly referring to the fact that I was going from camera to camera, seems to say, pick one. Is there anybody here who would like to communicate with me the way you did the Fox system? Begins to make all kind of racket because I'm right underneath wires. I'll just turn the voice record. Well, we'll keep that running just in case. So, are the Fox sisters or the salesmen still roaming the grounds of Hydesville? That I can't say for sure. But one thing I can tell you is I definitely have evidence that that area is still very much active and worth a further investigation on another day. The park itself is beautiful. I recommend going there, and I recommend having a good time, possibly a picnic, and possibly soaking in some of the history of the cottage at Hydesville. And if you're not careful, maybe you'll have a paranormal experience of your own.